he wouldn't go. But in this case, it was a good decision, and the decision has to be made now. Do I go mid lane or do I go in the fight? Well, let's see the fight. He's surviving. He's most likely surviving for minimum 10 seconds. I mean, in the worst case scenario where they flash on him, Evelyn is still safe. She's in a safe position, so he's moving there. Of course, if something is the fight looks like this and they are very low, very chunk, they're already dead, or simply this is a 2 versus 5 fight, he'd probably just go mid lane and potentially even just go for the Nashor vision. But in this specific case, it was a no-brainer. They are fighting, they're in a fight, they're inside of a fight, it's urgent, let me just move. And as he was moving, of course, he was also hovering and looking with his camera there to see if the fight is still going good, because maybe you decide to go here when the fight looks good, but maybe here the fight is completely shit, so you can recalibrate your decision and just go to the mid lane. So you know guys, besides here, and in today's video we're going to learn about mid-game macro rotations. We're going to learn so much about, do we need to fight, do we need to split push, when do I farm, when do I go to help them. This video is going to show you and it's going to give you all of these answers. Please watch this until the end. This is a very nice video for you if you're an AD carry main, and if you are an AD carry main and you're not subscribed, you gotta subscribe right now, because so many videos about AD carry. You gotta subscribe if you really want to improve. Enjoy. Now we're actually going to analyze different situations from a challenger player in this specific case to see how you actually can play mid game and when you can actually move out of the early game. So in the early game or early to mid game, there are some rotations that you can do. We see this Draven right now is playing Draven. He's pushing the wave, and right now he immediately just turns to the brush. He wants to get some vision, but then he sees that Renata is sweeping. He knows that he can't really get the plates. He doesn't really have enough gold to recall, so what can he do? He is going towards mid lane to actually just get the scuttle, and as you see, he's finding a kill right now. So what a coincidence, he takes the kill, and after he takes the kill, he wants to take the scuttle, and after that he wants to return to bot lane. You guys can see how he actually kind of played mid lane. Now he's leaving the Drake. He's just taking the wave bot lane because he knows that the Drake is actually done, and now he's actually baiting intentionally. He just wants to get hooked in this case because he knows he has cleanse, so he can easily play this very, very aggressively. He's gonna take the skills, and let's see how he plays next. He takes the skills, he dies right now. What I want to show you is the following aspect. This guy has a tendency to go mid lane after he pushes the wave. We see that he's crushing here, and he sees a big fight onto the mid lane. The reason why he's actually going mid lane right now and he's not pushing is because, one, he knows that the Karthus should be here pretty soon. Or if the Karthus is not here soon, someone is here soon. Karthus was actually in top lane. The thing is, he knew that someone will actually catch this wave on bot lane. If Karthus is top lane, most likely Twisted Fate. Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't even bother to actually stay. He could have stayed for this plate, but the thing is, when he sees that Arela is fighting in a big fight mid lane, he immediately goes there. He can easily do that because he just pushed one wave into the tower. He goes mid. He does Uga Buga things mid. He's also paying attention to the bot wave, so by now he could actually return to bot lane, but he's pinging Orianna to do it since he knows that Orianna has TP in like, what, 3 minutes, 2 minutes and a half, 1 minute and a half now, so he sends Orianna there. Of course, if you are in solo queue and you're mid lane, you're making this rotation, and you see Twisted Fate is pushing, and you see that after you ping Orianna to go back to bot, she doesn't want it, then you should do it. Of course, you should do it, absolutely. But we can see that this guy is staying mid, and as he's staying mid, he's pushing really easy. He's taking the tower, and right now he's pushing one more, and as he's pushing, he's actually hovering his teammates as they are invading. He needs a little bit more gold, like 200 more gold for collector, so he has no problem to follow this. He's going towards top lane, he's going towards bot lane. This is Challenger EUVES. This is actually rank 3, I think, something like this. So super good player. He's so active. And you guys will see a lot of players like are AFK, let me farm. And sure, I would want to say farm is not important on AD carry, but as you guys can see, in order for you to do damage, in order for you to get kills, you need to be in the fights. And I'm not saying, okay, now what should I do? Should I ignore the farm? No, I'm not saying you should ignore the farm. Like right now, for example, he just goes mid lane. There's no reason to go bot lane because the wave is super pushed in. So he just wants to get the farm, and he also wants to be in the team fight. So don't just AFK farm, but at the same time don't always be in team fights. You kind of have to make a balance, like get as much farm as you can, and while you're doing that, you also have to consider staying with your teammates. So this is basically the concept. As you guys can see, this Draven is doing, he's always hovering place, he's always pushing mid, but he's never actually afraid to follow his team. He's actually pushing this, and he's actually hovering the top lane in case they make a play. Then they can see that mid lane he can push easy peasy. So the word is being active while still farming. That's the playstyle that he has.
Are you an AD carry main struggling to make an impact in your games? Is your damage output disappointingly low, leaving you feeling frustrated and powerless in the role you love? Introducing our specialized coaching program designed to supercharge your AD carry performance. Imagine a world where your damage, decision making and farming skills are 10 times better and the outcome of your games is no longer left to chance. Meet Chase, just like you, he was once stuck in the same position, facing low damage and inconsistency in his games. Let's see what happened after his coaching experience, from Diamond 4 to Master Tier. Wow! And here is Jordan and Brett, both transformed into formidable AD carry after the coaching session. These success stories aren't just isolated cases, they are a part of a community of over 3,243 players who benefited from the coaching program. If it worked for them, why not for you? Picture yourself as an unstoppable AD carry. It's not a dream, it's your potential with the coaching session. Don't wait any longer, visit Visite.com, book your coaching and become the AD carry the enemy team hates to play against.
No, he's not having AFK farm only the inside lane. No, he's not following every single fight, but he's getting ready. He's getting in position. Mid-game macro rotation, where should Draven go right here? Bot lane is pushed in, top lane is pushed in, but mid lane is coming into him. The thing is, he should always go mid lane unless there is something that is happening urgently onto the Drake. Right now, they just engaged, so what he's doing right now is he's seeing that this is still doable. He's actually going towards the fight. Of course, if he's looking and everyone is dead or almost dead or about to die in a very short period of time, 3 to 5 seconds, and he knows that he can't get there in time, he wouldn't really pat here. He would go mid lane, take the wave, and potentially just pat top lane towards Krugs. But since he saw that as he was in base, he moved his camera, he saw that they're buying time, he saw that it's doable, he was actually moving towards the fight. Again, another thing that AD carry, they just default into getting the farm when all of the teammates are fighting. Of course, again, if he knew that trying to get there is pointless and he wouldn't be able to get there in time, or his teammates are dead anyways, then he wouldn't go. But in this case, it was a good decision, and the decision has to be made now. Do I go mid lane or do I go in the fight? Well, let's see the fight. He's surviving, he's most likely surviving for minimum 10 seconds. I mean, in the worst case scenario where they flash on him, Evelyn is still safe. She's in a safe position, so he's moving there. Of course, if something is the fight looks like this and they are very low, very chunk, they're already dead, or simply this is a 2 versus 5 fight, he'd probably just go mid lane and potentially even just go for the Nashor vision. But in this specific case, it was a no-brainer. They are fighting, they're in a fight, they're inside of a fight, it's urgent, let me just move. And as he was moving, of course, he was also hovering and looking with his camera there to see if the fight is still going good, because maybe you decide to go here when the fight looks good, but maybe here the fight is completely shit, so you can recalibrate your decision and just go to the mid lane. Another situation, where should Draven go right now? Bot lane is pushed in, top lane is pushed in, is the later stages, and mid lane is pushed in as well. Obviously, since he doesn't really have waves, he's just going towards to the Nashor. Then he actually just wants to get the wave mid lane, but he sees that he can't reface Jakir in case Nautilus is actually gonna flank him. So what he does is, Evelyn is pinking, he's trying to hover top lane a little bit with this play and go top lane, but then he actually got to see the Nautilus here, and then right here he was like, okay, I'm not gonna go top lane, Evelyn is fine, I'm just gonna push mid lane. What should he do after pushing mid lane? Of course, he should go towards top lane and hover, whether he's gonna get there in time or not, he should be with his teammates, and after that he's just going to get Baron Nashor, easy peasy. And then he's going to go mid lane. He tries to kill the guy, unfortunately the Karthus ulti kills him. This is how you really play the mid game. You're farming, but you're also inside of the fights, you're hovering place, you're paying attention to the top 10 bot. After you push mid lane, you're always playing with the jungle or with the support, depending on who is the most aggressive on the map. This is how you play AD carry. You are inside of a fight, and every time when you have like 9 farm per minute, 8 farm per minute, and you're bronze, silver, gold, emerald, even low diamond or even high diamond, and you have low damage, that means you're not really fighting enough. Now again, as I'm saying, you have to make the balance between fighting too much and fighting too little, because there are many situations where you're just farming too much, but there are also situations where you're just grouping 24/7, which is also a bad thing. So you really gotta make the right balance, and usually you can do that by looking at your damage. So your damage on your match history should look like the following. Here is how you can see whether you're doing them more damage or too much damage or too little damage, and you're farming too much or not. So first of all, you look at the CS number. CS number is actually very, very good, but it doesn't really show you anything if you're actually looking only at CS number. So this is a challenger player, again, rank 3, EUVS 7 farm, 6.7, 7.4, 6.3. You might say, wait, he's not challenger, right? No, he's challenger. He's actually inside of a fight and he's playing smart. So when we're actually going to open his damage, he will do 18k damage in 20 minutes. That's pretty good in a 20 minutes game to do almost 1k damage per minute. That's actually quite good. Second game, he lost 39k damage. He did 36k damage in 39 minutes, which is actually quite okay. Of course, you also have to consider, because some of you might be like, oh no, but you know, of course, this is little damage, but you have to consider the composition that he has, whether he has engaged or not. You have to see the matchup. Like, you can't just look at the damage and the farm and just say, yes, I know, but I'm just saying below master tier, how other players can actually check the stats. That's usually the rule of thumb. Look, 39 minutes, 36k damage. That's pretty good. You can also argue that, yeah, he plays against Tamkench, Senna, which is very difficult to play. Gwen, he doesn't really have very good peeling. He has Shake, which is quite useless in the overall, even though he's ahead, which is true. 29 minutes game, 35k damage, again 6.7 farm, again 7.4 farm, and then 31k damage in 30 minutes. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. And now let me just show you one example of what to not do, let's say. So I'm going to open up an OPGG here in front of you, and we're actually going to see a player that is a little bit lower rank, right? And we're going to see his farm. Look at this. Look at this. 7-4, 5-9, 7-2, 7-3, 8 farm, 6-7, 6-6, 7-1. This doesn't look bad, right? It's very, very similar with the 9.6. When you see a 9.6 and this guy is platinum, I'm like, okay, is it good? Well, if I'm going to open the damage and he's going to do less than 35k damage, that most likely means he ignored his teammates. He ignored his teammates completely and he wasn't refollowing. 35k damage. Okay, that's exactly the minimum that he should do. True. But in a game like he has 14 kills, 35k damage, and he did as much as 8-7 top lane, 5-11 jungle. Okay, he did 10k more, but that's too little. Look, the Pantheon, that's 4-7, did this 25k damage, and he only did 35. That's not good. That is not good. That is not good. That is not good. So when you see you have a high farm, check your damage. If your damage is low, look at this, 5.9, and he did 28k damage. Yeah, this is definitely so. If you also have a low farm and you have a low damage, this means there are other fundamental errors. Maybe you don't know how to team fight. Maybe you're not comfortable with the champion, or maybe you pick the champion just in a wrong situation. So that's basically, these are like the situations, but that's how you check it. Every time when you look at your damage, don't just look at your damage, look at your farm as well. Many players, they have a really high farm and low damage. So what they should do, instead of having 9 farm per minute in bronze 9, okay, or emerald or whatever, and having like 10k damage, whatever, you can have 7 farm per minute and 35k damage. Much better. Much better. It's like an optimization. You don't want to be the player that has 4 farm per minute and 50k damage, but you don't want to be the player that has 10 farm per minute and 5k damage. You know, you want to kind of make a balance, if that makes sense. Another situation right here of a challenger player, that this is something that it can happen, not so much, but let's actually take a look at this. Rank 3 EUVS. He goes bot lane, he plays Varus. At some point, he is actually going to kill Nami, and we're going to see what he actually is doing right here. Slow pushing, slow pushing, slow pushing, fast pushing, getting some vision. He knows where is the jungle, so what he's going to end up doing, he's going to step into the brush, go into the Nami, and then recall. Right now, he will actually path towards mid lane. The reason why he paths towards mid lane here is because he saw that Nami is moving, and he knew that the Lucian is actually pretty far away from the bot lane right now. So he actually just went mid lane. The reason why he went mid lane is because he wants to kill this guy, plus the objective is void links. He goes mid, he kills this guy, easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. He keeps staying mid lane because Akali is actually going bot lane. Of course, this is not something that you will do in your rank. This is a game where he's extremely ahead, he's 9-0, and he grouped very early, very, very early, even though his tower wasn't really gone here. If Akali still goes mid lane, he will probably just take some minions here to make sure the wave is trimmed correctly. He will kill a few minions, and then he will go directly to the bot lane again. Boom, shakalaka, he will go bot lane. And he will keep pushing and play for the tower. Since he pinged multiple times Akali to go bot lane, it's better for us to stay mid. Yes, he didn't get the tower first bot lane, but this is an exception. If you're super far away, like he's 9-0 right now, like he's super, 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 super strong right now, and if he's super strong like in this specific situation, then again he doesn't really need to stay bot lane until he gets the tower. He's significantly stronger than Akali, so he's gonna stay mid lane and he's gonna play for the Voidlings. Should you really concern yourself about the Voidlings be low emerald? I mean, unless it's really free for you to get them, unless you can, like, you know, your mid laner already goes bot lane and he's bot lane and you can stay with your teammates. This rotation is most of the cases coin flip for low elo, because it requires your teammates to actually play around you. It requires your jungle to play around you. It requires your super to also play around you. If you make this kind of rotations in a low rank below masters and you stay by yourself on mid lane and no one is already hovering you, you're most likely gonna get killed. Because even this right now, what Varus does, Yone is 2-1 and is still ahead. He's almost level 10 on Yone and Varus is level 8. So still the AD carries are weak because they actually lose experience. The experience is halves, right, on bot lane. So be very careful when you're making this kind of greedy rotations, super early rotations. It requires your team to play around you, and I don't personally recommend it unless you get the bot tower. This is what I personally don't recommend it. I mean, now, you know, grandmaster players, challenger players will tell you, no bro, but if you're super ahead, you can group mid lane anyways. You can play for Voidlings. It depends on the wave state. It depends on who is your mid lane and whether she can side lane like Kali, Zed, or other champions, they can easily side lane. Also champions like Varus or Ezreal, they can group at one item in mid lane. Sure, I'm not talking about these people that are like, you know, insane at the game and they're like really, really good. I'm talking about you that you're in low elo. That's the rule that you can actually respect with, let me get the bot tower first and then group. That's kind of what you should be doing in general. Another concept very important here, after he recalls, Varus goes directly to the mid lane. Of course, Akali is bot lane, he just has to play a mid lane. Now he's actually trying to stay left hand side here and potentially look to hover that play. So since he's looking there, he sees that they are dead anyways, he immediately turns to mid lane, he doesn't really keep going. So his camera is perfect. I mean, well, he's a challenger player, of course. He's actually looking to hover on the bot side angle because he sees Akali low-key going on this guy. So what he does is that he immediately turns to bot lane because he thought that Yone is just gonna ulti. But then when he sees that Yone is actually just chilling and Akali is backing off and she doesn't really want to go in, he's going mid lane. He's pushing the mid lane, and what should he do after? He should be active on the map. So he wants to play for Voidlings, or for Herald, sorry. He's trying to pressure a little bit the Lucian so he doesn't go like this. He just wants to cut him off like this. Then now he's debating whether he should hover bot lane or whether he should hover the Herald. The Herald is actually dead here. He's hovering a little bit the top lane just in case we want to contest for this, because he thought that potentially Aurelia might have TP here to use. She was like very short on TP. He's hovering on top lane just because he wants to contest this this vision. Is really important to get vision on top side for enemy team in this at this point in time. And then right now, after Varus makes sure that they don't go into the jungle, he goes to mid. And after he goes to mid lane, what does he do? He actually hovers the bot lane play. He's TPing right here and he's hovering the bot lane play. This is very important activity that you have on AD carry, physical activity. You don't need to, let me sit mid lane and wait the wave to come into me kind of mentality, you know. This wave is right here. This wave is right here. You have lots of time to move until here. And if you see that the wave is pushing into you right now, you can go back to mid lane. So, yeah, he just hovered bot lane. He saw the guy is actually not killable. He's staying into the brushes. Easy peasy. He gets a kill there because Varus Ashe is all about vision. He pushes the wave and now he has he could recall or he could hover another lane. So right now he decides to recall, and guess what? What is he gonna do? He's gonna take the red buff, and when he could have gone mid lane here, because Lucian is pushing, he's actually hovering bot because he saw two people that are engaging. He saw that Lucian is pushing mid lane, but this fight is closer to him than the mid lane fight, so he decided to go bot. He's looking to ulti very soon. And then now he's going on mid lane. What is he gonna do on mid lane? Well, he's gonna hover his teammates. He's gonna push, he's gonna poke here, and again, he's always hovering his teammates, even when he's actually positioning. You guys see his positioning? He's never on this side. He's always on the side with his teammates. If teammates are here, he's going to be here or here. He's going to stay on the right hand side. Good positioning, good setup. He pushes the wave. And then after he pushes the wave, what is he going to do? He's going to be very active on the map. What do I mean by that? He's going to hover his Ashe. He's going to stay fog of war. Enemy team, they don't really see him, right? Look at this. They don't really see him. He's going to Q from fog of war. Nami can't really dodge it, unfortunately. It's actually a cute skin on Nami. And then he's going to hover again and again and again and again. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. And this guy is actually, again, super high elo. He's very active. He stays with the teammates. He's hovering place when he should hover, but he's pushing mid lane when he should push. Very, very, very important. Look at this. Now he recalls. He goes back to the fights here because they are going on to the Drake. They started the Drake. So he could go mid and push, or he could just go to the Drake. Since they started the Drake and he sees this fight, he's actually going towards mid lane. If they didn't restart, actually, the Drake, he will just look to push mid, and after mid he will actually follow afterwards. And of course, when you go for a wave, you really have to actually pay attention to the minimap. For example, right now, Arela is taking mid lane wave, bot lane wave is super far, and top lane wave is actually pushing into him. You would have to actually try to click on the map because sometimes the minimums are very confusing and you're not really able to pay attention based on the minions. You're not able to track how many minions we have and how many minions they have. So now he's actually going towards top lane because Arela is pushing mid lane. Obviously, he goes on to mid lane here, onto top lane. He's very, very faker. You guys can see how good he is. It's like looking like a scripter. Easy peasy. So also pay attention to the waves when you are actually going to a fight. And right now, of course, there is a big wave coming into him, but this fight is a lot more important than him just getting the top wave right now. So he just easily wins this fight. GG. So what we learned really here is that you need to be able to look to be adaptive on the decision making, and not like if you go to one lane, you need to always be ready to actually move in case you need to move. Let's say you go to top lane and it's a big wave and then you see a fight that is very close to you, like right here, then you immediately can follow. Of course, if the fight is really far from you, let's say it's right there, obviously taking the huge wave right now first, then moving after would be the play. But in general, it depends on the distance, of course, the distance between you and the fight. If the fight is super close, like if the fight is relatively close like this, you can always consider firing. If not, if it's like more than this, let's say it's like half of a map, let's say they're fighting here or here and you're top lane right now with the wave, you should take the wave and then you should move afterwards. In the next situations, we're actually gonna go, where should you go in the mid game? Should you stay with your teammates? Should you group? And more. So let's see what happened here. So with Varus and Brand, we actually got the bot tower, easy peasy. We get the bot tower and now we immediately just recall. Where should we go right now? Well, where we should go is really depending on the waves and well, first of all, the waves, the position of the wave, and based on where the enemy team is really sitting and where you want to be sitting. So right now, since I got the tower, I want to be mid lane, easy peasy. The bot lane wave is actually pushed in super far. Mid lane, Syndra is mid lane, and it's top lane. Two people are top lane, so we can actually go to top lane. Super easy peasy, right? So I could actually go top lane here, but Trundle is already there. So what am I gonna do? Definitely, I'm not gonna go bot because the wave is right here, so it will take some time for this wave to get here. So I'm gonna go on to the mid lane. Why? Is because I want to be mid lane just in case there's going to be a fight. And now after I go mid lane, I ping Syndra to actually go bot lane, and I see if she's moving bot lane, I will actually stay mid lane. If she's actually staying mid lane, then I will move towards bot lane. So right now I ping Syndra to actually move bot lane to catch the wave. She didn't actually want to do it, but then she actually was willing to go there. Reason why I actually did that is because I know that Syndra has TP in, I don't know, 20 seconds or something. So she can immediately get prio bot lane. I'm pretty useful with Brand mid lane, so we can let her onto the side lane. Lee Sin can play around her. Yes, you might ask, okay man, but what am I gonna do if she doesn't follow? If she wouldn't follow here, then I would go bot lane. It's that simple. You stay mid, like I would go mid. She sees me mid lane. I ping her assistance 2 times. As you guys can see, I ping on my way, and luckily she also pinged on my way on bot lane. She knew, because this is like what masters, so people knew. But if she does want to stay mid lane, then I would go bot lane, no problem. Of course, there is an argument here. If you're a grandmaster player and you're saying, no bro, but Syndra should stay mid lane because she has 1 item and a half. She's significantly stronger than you. So why would you send bot lane Syndra? Especially because she has TP in 50 seconds. She can stay mid lane. She can get priority, and you guys can play with Lee Sin. You guys can push bot lane and you can rotate, but it's priority for Syndra to stay mid lane because she's significantly stronger than you on Varus. She has 1 item and a half, and 2v2 with the Lee Sin, they are stronger, and she's also level 12, which is absolutely true. Just as a rule of thumb, just for low elo players, again, this is what they should be doing when it comes to, let me ping my mid lane and then let me see if they actually react. But don't ping your mid laner as you're in base. Just go towards mid lane, ping your mid lane while you're mid lane, and see if she reacts to it. As a rule of thumb, when it's later stages and Baron is up, you want to avoid for as much as possible to be around the side lanes. Of course, unless you need to actually catch a significant wave that is inside of your tower. So for example, in this case, Baron Asher is up, so I need to avoid for as much as possible going bot lane or going top lane. Of course, unless I can push it in a very short period of time, in a very fast period of time, I push it and I move mid, in which case it's absolutely okay. But if I push wave and I push one more wave, it's already I'm going to be late at the party on the Nashor. I mean, if I push even more, it's going to be even worse. So let's see what I do right now. So this is actually an exception. This scene is actually going there and he's actually starting it, right? Syndra is actually going as well. I mean, this scene is hinting. I don't know what he's doing. And I'm actually going bot lane. The reason why I'm going bot lane is because I saw Akshan pushing a big wave right now and I need to just move there. Again, if it wasn't Akshan pushing here and if it was pushing here or here and he doesn't threaten getting the inhibitor, I would most likely just go towards Nashor, as when we have Brand, if he moves immediately, Brand has a lot of damage on the Baron Nashor. Brand, Cassiopeia, Yasuo, Yone, champs like that, right? Kai'Sa, Kraken Slayer uses Akshan, blah, 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 blah. Brand is one of those, okay? So if Akshan was pushing right here, or I know that Akshan won't really get the inhibitor, majority of the cases I would either go to Nashor or I would just send Trundle to go bot lane. In this specific case, I can't send Trundle because he's level 12. He's much stronger than me. I'm level 10. I'm very behind in this game and I'm actually not diveable by this guy very easy because I have my ulti very soon in 25 seconds, 30 seconds. So this is the reason why I actually go bot lane. In general, I don't want to be bot lane. Trundle should be bot lane. If Trundle was right here as well and I was right here as well, I would probably send him bot lane. If again Akshan was right here, I would avoid going bot lane. But in this specific case, even though everyone is going towards Nashor and they are doing Nashor, I actually stay on bot lane. And of course, I'm not stupid. I'm gonna immediately turn to the Nashor just in case we can actually save something because my teammates actually died. And I'm going to be there a little bit later, but I was there. It was important because next game maybe they're gonna be all low because my teammates will engage and I will actually spend my time pushing bot lane. No, I can't do that because the Baron Nashor was up. So what I'm saying here is that in the later stages, yes, you need to avoid staying side lanes unless there are big waves that you can catch in a very fast period of time. In the second tower, you catch them and you immediately go towards Nashor. But in general, you shouldn't be the one that catches side waves. If the chances of the enemy team getting Baron Nashor is super high, then you shouldn't really be on bot lane, should be in the fight, preferably. Of course, there are cases like in this specific case where I prefer to be bot lane, but in general, top lane, your top lane should be bot lane, and you should be mid lane, as a rule of thumb. Another decision that I see AD carry struggle is the following. So let's take a look at this. Same on my Smurf Master Tier, let's see what happened on bot lane. So something happened on bot lane and I actually died and I'm dying. But what I want to show you is that after everyone is dead here, Kiana is actually going bot lane. I'm actually pathing towards bot lane because I see they're actually gonna fight. And what I do is that I'm actually checking there and I see that everyone is dead. So what I do is I immediately turn to mid lane because I actually see that the guy is actually catching to mid wave. If in the first place I see that they are dead anyways when I'm in base, I would immediately go towards mid lane to catch the wave or simply to crush this wave if need be. In this position, I actually saw the Shaco and Jhin still being alive, so I thought that the fight is gonna last for a long time. So I actually path a little bit towards bot lane. And then there is no harm to just immediately repath towards mid lane because I was about to lose the wave. I moved towards mid lane and the thought process right here is push this wave. Kiana is going to push this wave as well. And then we do the sync rotation where I go back bot lane, she goes mid lane. She doesn't need to stay bot lane because she doesn't have TP. And she's 5'2", so she wants to stay around mid lane, especially around Voidlings. So I don't need to be now mid, especially because she's stronger than me. So I push. And unfortunately, let's see, is Kiana coming mid lane? Yes, Kiana is coming mid lane. Then we engage it, we badly kill this guy. And then right now, what I should have been doing right now is that I should be going towards bot lane. I push the wave mid lane, and then I'm going to go bot lane to catch the wave. So this is actually good macro. This is how you play the map in a good way. And this is how you actually let your mid laner come back. You don't keep staying mid lane. And then, of course, if she stays bot lane, she keeps staying bot lane, you push mid lane, you go towards bot lane, you ping her to go back to mid lane, and she'll probably just go back to mid lane. If she doesn't want it, then you still stay mid lane. Or if she's coming mid lane as you're pushing the wave, then push that current wave and then go back to bot lane. I see a lot of AD carries, they are mid lane, they're pushing, and the mid lane is right here, and they're like, okay, she's coming, I'm gonna go back to bot lane. No, you take your wave, because your wave right now, you don't want to waste your time on mid lane. You take that wave, and then you let your mid laner be mid, if that's what she wants to do. So make sure you pay attention and you take your farm. You're not a role that you can give up some farm. You take everything that you can take. I'm not saying steal the farm if she's mid lane. I'm saying share it if you have to share it, but if she's really far away, like if you're mid lane right here, and if she's super far away here and the wave is in front of you, take it and then swap after. I wanna, so AD carry is a role that needs resources to be useful. You're not playing support Silas to be useful if you're 0-10. No, you're playing a role that is reliant on having money, having gold, having dollars in your pocket. Super important. Okay, late game, mid game macro. Wait, what? Mid to late game macro. That's what I mean. Okay, 24 minutes game. Hansama on the Varus. What is he gonna do? Baron is gonna spawn. Where is he gonna go? Top, he can't go. Mid wave is in the middle. Bot wave is coming into him, and there is gonna be another wave here. He should go bot, right? Absolutely not. In the later stages, the farm become more and more useless. He has 3 items and a half. If he had 1 item and he had a tower here and the wave is coming into him, he'll most likely go towards bot lane, catch the wave, then go mid. If he had 2 items, he could consider going bot and then go mid. If he has 3 plus items and 2 or 2.5 plus items, and the Baron is up and the chances of the enemy team getting Nashor is, then he shouldn't really go bot lane sideways. Of course, Krugs is stupid call, bot lane farm is stupid call, even though some of you could say, yeah, but he's gonna get gold, right? He's gonna make... No, he's not really right. He should be staying mid lane and he should be with his team. Now, Aatrox is gonna go bot lane, and some of you could argue, yeah, but he could have taken the wave, right? Yeah, but then enemy team is going to have a lot of breathing room because they will see Varus on bot lane. They will get vision here. They'll force a fight if his team is going to try to contest the vision because they know Varus is bot lane. And easy peasy, he's going to lose the game. Especially because Varus or Ashe, they need to play around vision. They need to play around Fog of War. They need to play around walls. They need to play around pink wards. They need to play around wards. So this is what you do in the mid to late game. You prioritize more staying with your teammates unless there is a super urgent moment where you need to catch waves on the side lane. As in, let's say right now, Karma is not on the map and Aatrox is dead. There is a huge wave right here on bot lane. You can go really fast, catch it, and then immediately go to Baron Nashor. That's what I mean in the late game. Do you need to catch waves? You can, but the more you go into the game, the later you go, the later the game progresses, the less important the farm becomes. That's really the rule of thumb. And this is what you're going to see Hansama. He's never going to actually go past this line because he wants to be relatively close to the Nashor just in case his teammates or enemy team, they want to force that. Super important. Don't be actually on side lane so much in the later stage. Of course, right now it's an exception. 2 people died. We lose the Nashor anyways. We don't have jungle. So Hansama Vichovic is just going to go on bot lane. He will try to kill the Karma. He can't do it, unfortunately, because this guy is so good on Karma and now he ends up dying. That's how you play mid to late game macro. You don't prioritize farming as much as fighting. So basically, until 1 item and a half, you prioritize a lot farming and fighting only in short fights, like fights that are distance-wise pretty close to you. After an item and a half plus like 2 items or an item and a half, you can consider joining fights more if they are relatively close. Let's say you're on bot lane, there is a fight. You can consider fighting more. And after 3 items, then fighting becomes your priority. And of course you want to catch side waves. You want to, if it's free, if they are around objective, but your main goal is staying around teammates because that's why you play the carry, to do damage. Another situation for late game potential, mid game, well, mid to late game macro potential rotations and how to play with the decision making. Hansama, again, he's in the fight, of course, 30 minutes in the game, he's staying with his teammates, he's suffering them. Of course, right now he can actually take the jungle, even actually trying to walk up. Super interesting right here. He's gonna try to hover top lane. Right now he will try to actually contest some vision here. So when he sees Renata is actually going to recall, he could immediately go and turn to the top wave. It's pretty big, if you can say. This wave is actually coming as well. So he still actually stays on mid lane. Why? Well, first of all, Evelyn is having ulti, she's mid. Orianna is keeping up the pressure on bot lane. Urgot is also bot lane, so why would he actually go AFK top lane? Yes, it will actually have some pressure because he pushes his tower, but if he push mid lane, it's a lot more pressure and he can also be around the team fight. So this is what I mean when I say in the later stages, you need to prioritize fighting more than farming. If you're in the fight compared to, let me just get 2 waves on top lane to push the tower to have some pressure, true. You get pressure, true. But the real pressure was in that case to push mid lane and to actually push. So if you get a little bit more pressure on top lane, but you're not able to really be in the fight, that's worse than let me push mid lane, let me get some more pressure, some less pressure, but the pressure, the amount of pressure that I have while being around my teammates is higher than any pressure that I can actually have on top lane. unless I can easily get an inhibitor, in which case it can be different, of course. So this is what Hans Sama did in mid to late game, 31 minutes challenger game. The next play is a little bit more controversial right here, mid to late game, but this actually works on the mid game as well. And when it comes to objectives and AD carry, should you take the objective by yourself or should you actually stay with your teammates? In this specific case, Hans Sama actually goes for the Drake and all of his teammates are pressuring, walking up, taking vision, and Evelyn is even going in. Here, I don't actually agree with Hans Sama, even though in challenger it works because they'll probably, as they're fighting, as they're getting vision, they have minimap and they will most likely keep in mind that the Draven is doing the Drake. I don't recommend you to do this when you're in low elo, because in low elo people are gonna go here, they are gonna die stupidly, they won't have a minimap and they will not fight as they are actually keeping in mind that you're a Drake. In low elo, what I recommend to you, if you're right here with Draven and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go Drake and I'm gonna get the objective, or hey, I'm gonna go to mid lane and then we're gonna fight and we're gonna win potentially, I would actually advise you to go mid. Why? Are you crazy, coach? It's a soul. Like, of course he wants to get the Drake. Hello? And plus he has ulti. They are fine. Urgot has flash. Evelyn has flash. Ulti up. Orianna is flash up as well. Like, they're so safe. They have Renata ulti to disengage. True. But again, this is below master tier. Again, below master tier, people are gonna fight stupidly. Below master tier, they're gonna fight for no reason. So instead of taking the objective away right now, I would stay mid. I know that my team is going to fight in a bad fight, which means most likely enemy team is also going to take the fight because it would probably be a good fight for them. So I actually want to get the pressure of me being around my team and being around the play, being around the fight, so I can eventually carry the game. If I'm going to stay here like Ansama and just take the Drake, there is a big chance that I'm just going to lose the fight, which actually happened, right? And Hansama they just bought 5 minutes. Of course, what Ansama did is right, but in a solo queue environment, I don't personally think it's right. I think it's just better to just walk up on mid lane and stay a little bit around your teammates, fight with them, and then you can eventually get Drake. Right now, Hansama actually wasn't there, and he wasn't really able to win this game as fast as he could have in 30 minutes. Right now, it's 35, 36, 37 minutes. So that's really the problem with solo queue mindset and competitive mindset. You can go for Drake there if you're with your team clash, blah blah blah, you know, you're playing LCS or LCK, your teammates have map awareness. But in solo queue, I recommend you to not do Drake by yourself, to not do Drake by yourself, to not do Nashor by yourself, only in specific situations when there is absolutely nothing that you can do. But if one, you can get more farm, two, you can stay with your teammates and there is a fight that can break, might break, you should be there, or you should just take more farm. Getting Drakes is anyways not really your priority as an AD carry. You would prefer 3 waves or 2 waves or 2 plates instead of just getting the waves, instead of just getting the Drake. So be very careful if you're using what is good and is a correct decision making, which is, you know, playing around the objectives, playing around the Drake, but you're actually not understanding that it's solo queue and your teammates will die and you have to actually stay a little bit more with them. That's the solo queue playstyle that for me helped me the most, because not anyone can play in Challenger or Grandmaster playstyle. If you want to actually get good as a player, you also have to be adaptive with your teammates, because in low elo they might do stupid stuff, so hovering them or playing a little bit around them, as long as it's not completely stupid call by them, might be the best thing to do as a rule of thumb.
$5. If you have problems improving and getting better in the game faster but cannot afford booking coaching, on my Patreon you can access more than 627 VOD reviews, premium videos about how to wave management, mid-game macro, and tier lists that will show you the best champions to climb and to improve for your elo. And these are not on YouTube, this is only on Patreon, they're exclusive. Moreover, you can participate in the free coaching waiting list to get a premium VOD review. I'm giving away 2 free VOD reviews every single week. All what you need to do is simple 2-step process. Subscribe to my Patreon and share your OPGG, and voila, you are on the waiting list. You're gonna get a personalized VOD review for any game in your match history. For just $5, you get not only the free VOD review, but a whole bunch of exclusive benefits that will supercharge your gaming experience. It's a small investment for a big return. And it's just $5, it's no brainer, right? But here is the deal, you've got to act quickly. The waiting list is already filling up fast. 55 people already subscribed to the Patreon, and there are 6 people that they already are on board, they are on the waiting list. And more are joining every moment. Now, do you want to secure your spot for a free VOD review? Go ahead on my Patreon and reserve it right now.